How are you doing this fine Friday morning? I'm excited for this project. Are you? I look at all the people already popping on. Thank you. Hello, Dana. Hi, Becky. Thanks for joining. Today I am going to be playing. This is Spill the Beads with Joyce Trowbridge for Softlex Company. We are going to spill some Delicas all over the place today and make some fringe earrings with our components, our beadwork components that we have, which happen to be on sale. Hi, Jenny. Hello, hello. Hi, Lauren. Welcome. Good to see you on here. So we have our beadwork findings are on sale, which is what I'm using, but all our findings and components are on sale. So pick them up. I'm going to experiment with these a little bit over the weekend too, just to see, because I think I might try, last week I not only did thread, but I also did soft touch. And I've always done fringe earrings with the thread, which is what we're going to be using today. But I'm going to try it with the soft touch 0.010 and the 1mm crimp beads. So those are going to be that's all on sale too in the finding sale, which is amazing to have. Hello, Stacy. Hi, Stephanie. Hi, Sandra. Welcome. Hello, S369. I like that. You're a member. Welcome. Hi, Roberta. Hi, Deb. I always find when I see people on here. Hi, Melinda. Hi, Nancy. Oh, I love seeing all my friends, our beading friends. It's so wonderful. I feel like I'm part of a romper room. I need to have a little beaded magic mirror to see all of you out there, right? Hello. And I love that we're from all over the place too. That's one of my favorite things too. From all over this wonderful world coming together on the internet to bead. What is better than that? I don't know. It makes everything that goes on just so worth it when we can come and find little bits of joy in spilled beads, right? Hello, Amber and Karen and Barb and Deb. Oh, wonderful. Yes, it does feel like romper room. Hi, for sure. I love it. So one of these days you're going to see me looking through a little thing because that's how I feel every time. Oh, 69. That's a warm day. Very nice for Maryland, I bet, for this time of year. It's gotten chilly over here. It's supposed to be raining. I am on the Pacific Coast in California, not far from in the Bay Area, not far from Softlex headquarters in Sonoma. So we're supposed to be getting some rain, which we're excited. We always need rain here in Canada. Look at that. See this whole world. We're all together. It's a warm November day for Nancy. Love it. Okay, so let's see what we can do today with beaded fringe. Has anyone make beaded fringe earrings before? There's a lot of fun ways to do it with brick stitch and you build up your own base. But all these wonderful beadwork findings that you can get now adds such a neat dimension to add a detail to it by attaching beaded thread fringe onto metal components. Just it changes the look a little bit. It modernizes it in a way. And we have some great findings here. We're going to switch over just to da 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 da. Do I remember how to do this? Ha! I remembered how to do it. How wonderful. I'm so glad that we can help you try it out. I find that it also using the, not only does it kind of modernize it and it helps with themes in a way, but these metal components kind of also is cheating, because the brick stitch for the original type that most people are familiar with is a little bit harder than just the fringe part. So, oh, you know what? We were going to do this. I want to talk first about I forgot to bring the blank ones out. So I made some graphs, because here we want to talk about how I got these this little moon one that I'm starting, or that I'm almost finished with, and then I'm going to start a new one so I can show you how to start it. I know. Technology for me is like, whoo, whoo. Beads, give me beads. Any kind of bead, I can do something with it. But technology, it takes me, I have a learning. Oh, I thought I had this. Okay, I think I'm back. Sorry for that. See, I just like jinxed myself. I thought I was doing pretty good, and then I just lost my camera, right? Uh, we're back, though, right? So anyway, graphs can be kind of tricky, because sometimes the way the shape of the beads are on a graph, like if you use just regular graph paper, it's square. Do I have sound now, though? Ah, yes, 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 yes. I lost my camera, which is my sound. For some reason, that's where my sound's coming from. It's supposed to be coming from the computer, but I don't know how I switched it, and I don't know how to come back. So we're going to keep that on there, right? So I had this graph that I originally did, and when I did it, the moon was really distorted, because if you could see it on here, they're kind of long, and Delicas are not shaped that way. And they're not shaped square either. So if you use regular graph paper that you might have from a project back in the day, it's going to be a little bit different too. So we worked on some blank graph papers that we are going to add into our blog, our recap blog next Monday for this, that you'll be able to, they're going to be blank, that you could fill out yourself. And so I'm going to talk about how I came across, how I fixed my moon, basically. Because that's something that I'm going to show you how to put the fringe on it, but I also, if you're going to want to design little things, you need to be able to figure out how to read the graph. You also need to figure out how you can fix any distortion that might happen with the shape of beads, because different beads are going to be a little different. If you're going to do there's a variety of, you have Japanese seed beads, you have Czech seed beads, you have seed beads from, there's a lot of other places that do it, like India has some, and Taiwan has some, and there's like a few other places, but for the most part you're going to find Japanese and Czech, and they're all just slightly different. Delicas are those beautiful tube shapes that we're using that really make a very sleek design when you're done, but you got to have these like in the right format in order for it to work. So I am going to now switch and make this whole again, so you can see this whole solo layout. Woohoo! I did it. See how they just line up really pretty in a fringe. We're using the Arctic Circle bundle in Delicas today. So these are the 3 colors. I have something in line for the vintage Christmas and the red tea rose one also. Delicas are amazing. I love Delicas. They're so wonderful. And we have 3 bundles, 3 bundles, I guess. I don't know. Our winter bundles, I should say, available. One of them is sold out right now, but don't worry. They are coming back real soon. We should be getting the restock real soon for a few more. So if you missed those, don't worry. They're coming back. And then we also have like a nice little almost rainbow that has like red through purple and silver and gold, black and white, which is a nice little, you could get the bundle or you can get individual colors too. Excuse me. It's cold in my little garage studio and it makes me a little sniffly, so sorry about that. So I am using the stars today with the moon. I figured the stars and the moon would be really pretty. I think we could even do this one on the little rainbow one, or even the eye would be really cool. This one you're going to need, like all of these, my graphs are across, I'm doing 10 wide on here. These half moon ones are going to need, even though there's 10 holes, if you only do 10 holes with the Delicas, or 10 things, they're going to be really far apart and it's not going to look very nice. So I would suggest 2 for each hole, which would be 20. So when you graph out something for these, it's going to be 20. So I have a design that I started so that you can get an idea of that next week. So what I did after I found out that my original graph, like these, see how they're long? Well, that's not really how Delicas are shaped. Delicas shaped are a little shorter and wider, not long and narrow. So I had the wrong graph. So this looked great, but once I beaded it up, it did not look good. So I had to go back and I got my graph. And then I started to make my moon. Now my moon looked kind of funny when I was just drawing it out. So what I did to kind of make it better is I took a pencil. So this is great for any kind of shape that you really need to be recognized. You could do some really awesome geometrics and other shapes that don't, or abstract designs in these where you don't have to have like a recognizable shape, but a moon is pretty recognizable. So if it looks like a squashed C, it kind of looks a little weird. And or if it like is too long, I mean, you know, if it's too distorted, it just kind of like, that's not quite a moon. So what I did was I took my pencil and I did a whole circle because a whole moon is circle. And then I started erasing some of it. And once I erased it, I looked and then I just erased all the way in each box. And I left ones that were filled until it looked like a moon that I liked. And then once I did that, I transferred it over, and as you can see, I have the smaller one up here, and originally I did the smaller and I didn't really like how it looked, so I played with a larger moon and then came back and then I mapped it out with the background just to see if it would work, and I liked it. So then I came back and I mapped it out with added little fringe for each thing and a little decoration. Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Paulina. That's wonderful. Hi, Terry. So these are like, this is, you know, how I came across doing this. Now, that being said, grafts are straight across, right? Well, when I was beading this, I may even change this a little bit. I'm going to finish it and see if I like it. I'll probably just leave it because sometimes it's like, whatever, no big deal. But it's a little straight up here at the top. So I might play around with some of this because basically this is on a curve. So you do have to pay attention when you have a design. Are you going to do something on like something straight like this? Now, if I did it on this one, it's going to be perfect the way I mapped it out because it's straight across. But if I do, because this has a little bit of a curve, it's taking out the top curve. So when I'm going to do my second one, I'm going to show you how to start it on the second one. And I am going to see if that works better. So when we get this colored graph for you finished, I'm going to have two versions. I'm going to have the one that works for this and the one that works for this. If I like my rendition, what is it going to be? My fourth take on my moon, third take on beading it, but fourth take of mapping it out. If I like that better, I am going to have it both so that you can say this is for the round and this one's for your. No, they're not always odd numbers across. Majority of the time they are, because a lot of people like to have a true center. This is actually going to be 10 across. And instead of doing a true center where there's one, I'm going to actually have two in the center. So I am doing 10 across. I don't know why I want to do 10. I could probably, I think it kind of depends on how you map out your main design. With the way I mapped out this moon, it made sense it ended up being 8 across, and it made sense just to add one more blue on both sides to like engulf it in the blue. And then that made it an even number across. So what I do, so I'm okay with these two right here being even. It still gives the illusion that it comes to a point. Oh, you're welcome. I know there is a lot of stuff, and I kind of wanted to show the process in this, because if you've never done this before, and if you come like, oh, it didn't work, sometimes people think that it's because of themselves. They think that they made the mistake. And yeah, okay, yeah, I made the mistake of mapping it out, but it's not that. It's the process sometimes is like, oh, okay, I got to remember. Like I totally, even though I've been doing fringe earrings forever, I totally forgot that I was doing it on the star one, which is round, and you got to like compensate for that, and those are things that we kind of blame ourselves for, but it's just part of it. It is. So we got to give ourselves some grace and let ourselves make some mistakes and redo it. It's not a problem at all. All right, so I'm pouring out a little bit more Delicas. I'm using this size 10 needle out of our little needle. We carry an assortment of 10s and 12s with a little, what is that called? A threader, needle threader in it. I'm using the Arctic Circle Delica set from our bundles, our winter bundles. I'm going to be using the Miyuki beading thread in the silver that we carry. We also have it in the gold, so if you get the gold, if you decided you want to do this in the gold, which I don't think that's a problem, just because this isn't like a true silver, because it's like a lustery silver, but it's actually more white. So if you wanted to do it on the gold, that would be gorgeous too. It gives it a little bit more northern light looking. So I would use the gold thread. just because a little bit of the thread is shown up at the top here. So depending on what you're doing, I, choose between one of those. I like to match it to the finding. Sometimes I will match it. If I have other colored thread, sometimes I'll match it to the beads themselves because it's kind of neat to have color on there too. So let's get our new little one started. I'm going to pull off my needle here. I'm going to start you how to do the beginning. So what we have to do, and I didn't finish this one so you can kind of see, we need to build this little row, that first row, and then from there we're going to add the fringe. Adding the fringe is very easy. Building this row is not too bad. It's just something new. The fringe is just a little bit easier. And one thing that I wanted to show, so we're going to look at the chart. I think you can. They're easier than what we think it looks. It's just a learning. Give yourself some grace and learn. So we're going to put all of these beads on this top row right here, but we're going to do it one at a time. So it's a silver, a turquoise, a silver, 4 blues, silver, turquoise, silver. I like to sometimes map that out by laying them out on my mat so that, you can't really see don't mind my dry hands. That's the one thing about winter. My hands get so dry and it doesn't matter how much lotion I put on. And then you don't want to put too much lotion when you bead, right? Makes it hard holding your beads. All right, there we go. And I just like to have them running across so that I can just pick them up from here. I am going to cut off a piece of thread about 3 feet. What I usually do is 3 feet is roughly, if you stretch your arm all the way out. You know what? We should demo this way instead of just, where's that? Where's this thing again? Exit solo. So you can see me. Hi, you can see me again. So if I just stretch this all the way out, my arm all the way, and then go to my nose and make sure my elbow is straight. I don't have a bend in my arm, and I look forward and not at my hand because that's going to make it 6 inches shorter. This is about 3 feet. Everybody's a little bit different. But that's about. Now, if you're worried that you have shorter arms, because some of us do have shorter arms, you can always use your opposite shoulder, and that's about good. It's better to have a little extra than a little. Hey, that's a really good thing to know. I did not know. I will get some because that would be very helpful. That's one of the things I don't like about lotion on my hands is because I do a lot of beading and other crafts. I hate getting it on stuff, especially when I'm using fiber. Like if I am doing something with yarn, because I do crochet and knit sometimes, I don't like getting that on that, or if I sew, I don't like to get it on that. So I have a tendency to not use lotion as much as I should. I love that. All right, so that's what I usually do for my. Now I pinch my thread between my fingers, pull it down, grab the eye, run it between my fingers, and Usually that gets it right by pinching the thread. And if you note, I'm right-handed, so I have my needle in my right and my thread in my left. I have more control getting the needle down in between my fingers that way. By pinching the thread, it stiffens it just enough so that it makes it so it goes through a little bit easy. You know, our arms are wonderful. They help us do things. It doesn't matter how they are. Oh, I forgot. So we're going to start. I always start with the one on the left because, since we read left to right, that's just the way my brain likes to do, but you could start from either side. I'm going to start by grabbing the first bead. Now, one nice thing about Delicas, most of the time they like to sit whole up because of the shape. Sometimes they're on their side, and that's okay. When they're whole up, it makes it really easy just to take your needle and just kind of place it on that hole, and it just kind of pops on. And I just verify that it's on my needle. I get it under my finger. Nice. That's good to know. I love that. See, we have such a beautiful, wonderful, amazing bead community. I love it. Now, I'm going to take my needle, and I like to come from behind the beadwork, and I'm going to be attaching it to one of these little slots right here on this one. You would attach them into the holes, so you would do 2 into each of these holes for this one. And for here, you can either do just, I would attach them into the slots that are here. Like I would do one here, and then one in that hole, then here, and then probably do a double just because you want to kind of fill in that space. It works. Yes. I hope you make these and share, or whatever you're making today, and share with in our wonderful soft flex, very important beader group. So I went through, and here's my little Delica, and I'm going to go back down through my Delica. If you're worried about this all falling off, you can always put a little bead stopper. One of the little mini bead stoppers are fabulous for this. And pull it tight, and there you go. You got the first bead. Now I'm going to go for the second one. Up through. Now I'm holding it kind of funny because I want to make sure that you're seeing it. But you would hold it kind of more like this. And now back through the second bead. We got 2 on. My third. And pull. Now you can keep going like that, but then I also like to do it this way. Sometimes this is how I hold it. I change. I don't know. Why? But sometimes I like to change the perspective of how I hold it. So sorry, makes it easier for me sometimes. And so I'm going to come upside down here. Grab my next bead through the slot, hold it whatever way is comfortable for you. That is the key for beading. is finding what works for you. There is not one way. There's just different ways, and you got to find what works for you. So if it's better to hold it this way, hold it this way. If it's better to hold it the other way that I was first doing it, because in a way that is a good way to do it in the beginning when you're new, because it makes sense, because our brains really like things that are intuitive, and we know that we're building under here and we're going down. So sometimes that actually works better for our brains. So do it that way. But if you're like me and like to hold it upside down because for some reason my brain is upside down, go for it. Don't be afraid to hold it in a different position to make it easier. When you are going through these beads, try not to split your thread. It's really easy to get that little tip into the thread and get little fibers. So one way to do it is not just pushing your needle down through it, is actually going up through it, if that makes sense. Oh, no, there's no wrong. There's no wrong. There's just different. Oops, be careful. Sometimes you pull your needle out, and that's okay. We just put the thread back through the needle. Do, do, do. So wonderful thing is this video is going to be available to rewatch on Facebook and YouTube whenever. So if you are not quite ready to do this and yet, that's okay. Maybe you're going to go and get some of these beadwork findings on sale right now and then come back. You can find this on our Facebook page and our YouTube, whichever one you have found us at, or you can switch between the two. I know that sometimes it's easier to fast forward and rewind and whatnot on YouTube, so that can be a very beneficial when you're doing this, and you can rewatch it, rewind, see how I'm doing it, and get this last one in here. And after you do these kind of earrings, you're going to be like, or I'm doing them as earrings, but you know what? You can make these on any, you can make this into a pendant. If you don't wear long earrings or dangly earrings, this would be a really cool pendant too. Put a little pinch bail at the top or jump ring at the top. Bead up the rest of it. How cute is that? I may have to do that. All right, so now we have that first row. Now we're ready for our fringe. So we're going to go back to our chart here. And on our chart, we're going to decide which. We ended up over here, so we could do this one first and then work our way. Or we could flip the piece and work this way. It doesn't matter. Choose what works best for you. I think because I'm going to just keep consistent in this one, less what I did on my other one, I obviously flipped it because these little star ones doesn't have none of these findings actually have a true front or back, so you can flip it and then just start with the side and work from left to right. Again, it's something that our brain likes because we read that way, or at least my brain. But sometimes I feel like I got to be consistent with what I'm doing. So since I'm holding it this way, I'm going to start with this one right here. Now, this row right here we already did. And for the most part, it's easy when you have different colors here. We know that, okay, we don't want to add another silver. We're just going to do the turquoise and then a silver and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 of the blue, and then a silver, turquoise, silver, and a blue. So that's 16 of those. When you get to here, it's really easy to forget that you already have one of the blue and just put 5. I've done that. So what I like to do is take a Post-it and just cover that row so that I don't see it. But I forgot my Post-its, so we're going to wing it, and we're going to try to remember not to add those, right? So I can pick these up and do that. We could go turquoise. I'm going to call it silver, even though it's not quite a silver. And then 16 of the blues. Do I know how to count? 1, 2, 3. Oh my gosh, I did it without even like, oh, that's exciting. And then a silver and a turquoise, a silver, and then one more blue at the bottom. And that little blue one is going to be our key. That little blue one is a special bead. That's what's going to keep our beads from falling off. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So we're going to just go ahead and add these on. I like to keep them on the needle, but when it gets too many, and if you notice, if you don't do that much with needles and thread yet, I try to keep it kind of parallel to the table a little bit and a little bit of a scoopy or circly motion when I go to put them on, to kind of scoop them on. Once I get so many on it though, I like to make them go past my finger. I like to put my finger there so that they don't just slide off, because if I keep going with this long of a thing, they can be a little tricky in keeping them on the needle. Once I have all of them, before I go past that, I like to do another check and make sure I have all the beads on, because while it's on the needle, it's easier to dump it off. Once it gets past the needle, then you got to pull. It's hard. Sometimes you have to take the needle off the thread, and we don't like rethreading it as if we don't have to. So I like to double check. Then I can pull this. Now what I'm going to do is pull all but that last blue one off of the needle. I'm going to hold on to the blue one on the needle. I'm going to let these slide all the way to the beadwork. And now I'm going to, because I'm skipping this blue one, that blue one's going to be the one that holds everything in place. And I'm going to take my needle and go all the way up. It's very easy to skip beads. It's very easy to split thread. One way I like to do that is to have it go like curve over my finger this way. And by doing that, you're pushing the thread downwards, and so you can kind of run it through the top of the hole and get through there. Sometimes you can't get all of them at once, so don't worry. They're just going to go on. I get as many as I can, and then I get the rest. Make sure you don't skip any. And we're going to go all the way up through that first bead that is next to the beadwork. Hold on to that little blue one at the end, your very last bead. It could be whatever color you're working with. Pull it all the way. Nice. Make sure that there's no sagging in there. And then this is how we're going to secure and move on over to the next one. We're going to go through the beadwork, or the finding, beadwork finding. Do, 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 do. And then back through just that first one of that fringe we just did. I know it's like an extra, there's some extra steps right now. We're not adding any beads. We're just moving our needle and thread over to the next spot so we can add another fringe. So we're going to go here. We're going to go up into the next one. Let's see. We're going to be on this side because we're working this way. We're going to go in the next one. I like to go behind the beadwork personally, but you can do in front. It doesn't matter. It's just my preference. From behind through the beadwork, finding, and back down through the bead. And then I'm ready for my next one. So I'm going to go over here, back to my chart, and I'm in the second one. So I'm going to remember not to do this top row, and I'm going to go from here. So it's 1 silver, 5, 1, 6, 1, 5, and then 1, 1, 1, 1. So a turquoise, a silver, 5 of the blue, a moon, and 6, yep, and 1, and 6. So when I'm doing it this way, instead of lining it up, I will say this sometimes feels quicker than lining it up, but it's really easy to accidentally either drop or put too many beads on. So this is another reason why I like to visually look at it on my needle and make sure my counts are right. When you line it up on the mat and just go from that, usually your counts are more, you have it in the right order and you don't have to count it as often. So that you got to choose which works best from you. If you find that you're making a lot of mistakes when you're doing it this way, when you're working from the piles of beads, then it's probably best to line them up. All right, there we go. And oops, run it up through the beads. And if you have problems like I am, I'm going to put it over my finger. And it lets gravity help. Sometimes it helps, sometimes it makes it for beads to fall off, and that's okay. Oh. Even though I told you to not skip that, what did I do? I added it. Do you see how I added that? So here's my favorite. If you notice that while you're if you notice it before you move on to the next, what is that called? Next fringe. You can keep that needle in there and basically, if you go to just crush these beads, you can cut through the thread, but having that needle in there is the best. If I was smart, I would look for my crimpers because I like the crimper method the best. But I don't see them. I did not make sure that they were here because I wasn't thinking about this part, and I was using them in the other room. So of course, did I bring them back in here? No. And what do I have at my disposal right now is round nose pliers, which will work, but not as nicely. So with the crimpers, what's nice is they have that first little notch is round on both sides, so there's no worry of crushing through the thread. With these, I have to be very careful, so having that needle in there is going to be the way to keep that from happening. Make sure you cover it so that, because no little shards of glass, these are made out of glass, so we don't want little shards going everywhere. So I just gonna put it over there, and I just dumped them over there. Later I'm going to put a piece of tape on there to get all the pieces so I don't have to worry about slivers of glass. And now I'm back. So it's kind of an easy fix. And I didn't have to redo that, right? That's sometimes the other thing is like, whoopsie, even with all of that, like making sure I have all the things, I forgot. I did exactly the opposite of what I said to do. All right. And then go through the beadwork, back down through that first Delica. And then back up through the next one. And you're just going to keep going. So remember, to make sure that you, there we go. Skip that first row that we already put on. Boom, boom, and keep on keeping. Gonna keep on tricking on that and add more and more. And then when you get down to the last, let's get those ones on. We're gonna pretend that we did a whole thing, right? And then how do you end it? Oh, whoops, I'm like not at the right one. Well, we're gonna pretend that we're at the right one. Do, 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 do. Yes, we can. We can do it. Not a problem. So, go down through that last bead on there. I'll add the other fringe later. We're not going to worry about it. I'm going to put on my last fringe. Do, 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 3, 4, 6, 10. Ooh, that's a lot. Double check and make sure I didn't lose any. Awesome. Yes, we all have our oops. That's just part of the process. Keeps us human, right? and not machines. So I like it when we have those little oopsies on here, even though, you know, and I want you to know that it happens to all of us. Even people that have made fringe earrings for decades, it happens. It happens. Run through. Exactly. I believe in that. If it goes too smoothly, you don't learn from it. It happens and then you get done. And yes, it feels so good when things go smooth, don't get me wrong. But then when you go to do it again, sometimes we forget. But if you made mistakes, because we had to fix the mistakes, it makes us remember. It's just one of those things. It works better for me that way. I love it. Okay, so here's the trick. Don't go through that last one. You want to come out of just the beads from the fringe, leave the one that's sitting there hanging that you attached originally. And this is, if you see, is my tail hanging out of it. And I'm going to pull that up. And if you hold on to that little tiny bead at the end, it makes it a lot easier to swoop it up. Don't pull it so tight that things get distorted. Just, you know, let it, but don't let thread show either. If your fringe decides to not behave as nicely, like if it kind of is wobbly, I'm going to talk about that in a second. So don't worry about that too much. All right. And then now we have the two threads. All you have to do is tie a knot. That's all I do. So I'm just going to make a little square knot with these two, with the working thread and somehow I'm going to do this under the camera. I'm not sure how I'm going to do this under the camera because apparently it's not quite, I don't have a whole lot of room. We could do it. We could do it. We can do it. There we go. And then we're going to just tie a little square knot. I kept my needle on the one side because that's going to be part of my thing. Not a problem. Welcome. I'm so glad were able to make it at the end here. We're almost done. But this will be able to rewatch it at some point. But I'm glad you caught a little bit of the live. It's always nice to get on the live, huh? And then I'm going to go up through that last bead. And when I pull this, that knot's going to pop into the bead, so I'm not going to see it. And that is my favorite part. Go through the beadwork. And I like to kind of go through the beadwork. Or I say beadwork, but it's the beadwork finding. And then through the bead again, which sometimes is hard to do because of the knot. So if you can't get into that one, go into the other one, or you can switch over to the size 12. And I mentioned that I'm using the size 10 today, and I forgot to say earlier, the 10 is the thicker one. I just find it's easier to thread and rethread, so I like to use it. And it's stiffer in my hands, so I like that reason. Whereas the 12 is very bendy, and I have a tendency to break them more myself, the way I hold needles. Not everybody has that problem, but I do. So that's why I try to do the 10s whenever possible. And Delicas have really nice holes, so we can just do that. And then I'm going to pull that down, and then I'm going to take my tail now. and thread my tail and run the needle through the beads down through, and I'm going to make this one go past where I came out of with the other thread so that they're coming out at two different spots. And that just means that the knot is now covered by the beads. I am missing one fringe. Don't worry, I can add that later because I can do that. You of course want to miss your threads. And then just cut the extra. Ooh, I'm gonna have to take a look at your videos with the owls. I love owls. Lovely. I cannot wait. And there you go. So see how we have this one guy, he's like a little stiffer. Part of it is because that's the knot, so it's a little tighter. All I have to do is run this under slightly warm water and then just kind of pull it down a little bit and then let it dry, and they will dangle just smoothly. It's amazing what you could do with the nylon thread. Just that little warm water, and you can just kind of pull them down and let it dry. Oh, cool. They've had some really good ones over the years. And that, my dear, is an almost completed. And then all I have to do is add an ear hook. And so, like, I don't know if you caught these ones from our midsummer market TGBE that I did with the strawberries at the bottom. You can always kind of like add, this goes over that too. I just went right through, found a little hole at the top. If it doesn't fit through, sometimes the holes at the top, if you don't plan it right, you put it on the wrong spot. I'm going to, on these ones though, add a little loop, not a jump ring. I'm actually going to take soft flex and a crimp and make a little loop to attach with the bead. Thank you. I am so glad. I cannot wait to see yours. Please, please share if you make something with this, even if it's just a trial and error. That is a-okay too. I love that you're going to be working. So catch that link in there that Tom has put up for us for our VIB group. Share on Facebook what you make with this. I would love to see it. Wonderful. I'm so glad you like them. Oh, so happy to hear that. Let's add, let's see if we could do that. Thank you for joining me today. I love this technique. I'm glad I was able to share it with you. I am so excited that Softflex has now added such a big variety because it's fun to add to their selection, and these findings can be so pretty. This, I think, I don't know if you notice, I kind of was a little inspired by Daniel Wick's presentation with the other beadwork findings and Delicas that she did earlier this month. And so I kind of, those were a little inspired by that. So I'm going to be doing that bracelet to wear with this. Yes. And I think this is I love that I chose Friday. We were like trying to figure out what day I could do, and I was like, I think I can work it. If we could do mornings on Fridays, I could do it. And I'm so excited because you know what it does? It just boosts me to have a wonderful beading weekend. It always inspires me to bead over the weekends. Sometimes if I don't, like in the beginning of the week, I might do something because we have all these fun projects that we're doing. But then, like, by the time it gets to the weekend, I feel like I got to do chores. But now with this Friday, I'm like, yes, I have beading to do. I love it. It is so fun. Um, Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I love doing this. I love sharing these things. I love being part of the Soft Flex Company bead family. It is amazing um, to be part of this. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all. Have a fantastic weekend. I hope you make this. Get some of these beadwork findings and Delica bundles on softflexcompany.com right now. The beadwork findings are on sale with all the other components. Um, and enjoy. Have fun. See you next time. Oh, we're nothing next Friday because of the holiday. But we will be the following. So spill the beads Fridays at 9:30, unless it falls on a funny Friday, like next Friday. So we'll see you. That would make it. Is it December 1st? Will be the next one. Is that right? I think that's right. Anyway, see you then. Love you all. Bye. Yes. Thank you, Thomas, for sure.